Okay, welcome. So today I wanted to offer some reflections about fragile, resilient, and anti-fragile. So what are these three stages? What are these three ways to respond to the world? Are we going to be fragile? Are we going to be resilient? Or are we going to be anti-fragile? So I'll be exploring a few of these ideas and just the importance of starting to move into being anti-fragile, especially with the changes and the challenges that we are going on, that are happening in the world at the moment. Okay, so yeah, I'm really getting this sense from the work I'm doing one-to-one with clients and in the world globally that people are really being challenged at the moment. And there's a lot of stuff happening. Seems to be a lot of pressure coming from many different ways. In my own work, in my own life, rents have gone up, price increases, and it's like everything seems to be going up. Petrol's going up. And so there seems to be this intensifying, this pressure at the moment. And yeah, for many, it's a real challenge at the moment. How do we deal with this? So one of the ways is by looking at this model. So essentially this model comes from Nassim Taleb, who is an economist. So he's more looking at business economies. But one of my teachers, Robert Brian Johnson, has kind of brought this in to more personal space, the self-development, the self-help space. And I really like this idea. So I feel, first of all, linking into trauma, a lot of my work is around trauma. I see that in trauma, most of us become quite fragile. And it's not a good thing or a bad thing, but I can just relate in my own life is that when I would be challenged, it would be too much really quickly. I might be able to cope in certain circumstances, but very quickly I can't do this. My early trauma would be triggered and I would just give up. So I was very much fragile. So if we kind of come down to the analogy of what are these three aspects, if you imagine fragile is imagine the box. It says fragile, handle carefully. If it gets knocked, then the vase or the thing inside is cracked. Or if you think of, and Nassim Taleb uses this idea of the candle, when a strong wind blows, then the candle blows out. That's fragile, is that we have a challenge, we have an obstacle, and it just floors us. So it's not good or bad, but what it is just noticing, okay, I'm in the fragile space. Okay, so then second stage is resilient. And my first book was called the How to Survive and Thrive in Challenging Times, Learning How to Develop Resilience. And this is the wonderful thing about learning, I feel, is that we're always developing, we're always growing. So what I say in that book is now being updated in my next book and my books after that. It's like, because I'm always growing, I'm always studying. I spend at least an hour a day in the morning studying at the moment, learning, growing. So resilient is this space of, okay, imagine a box which is kind of reinforced. Yeah, it gets knocked on it, but eventually it gets to that space where its structure is impacted. So for us as humans, it's like, okay, I need to take some time out. I need to build myself up. I might have been resilient like a cup, but now I'm empty, and I've had that many challenges. I now have to build myself up again. So that's the second stage, is resilient. And I found through my practice, meditation, practices like that, that I've created a nice resilient self. Okay, then the third stage is anti-fragile. So anti-fragile is this idea that if you imagine this analogy of the flame, rather than it being a candle, you imagine a fire with lots of wood on it outside, and it's windy. What happens? It burns really brightly. Rather than the wind blowing it out, it actually fuels it. And Ryan Holiday, who wrote the book The Obstacle is the Way, he's a big Stoic philosopher, talks about this idea of, we want to go towards the obstacles. We want to have, because that's the fuel for our fire. So that's anti-fragile. It's like the more the challenges come in, the stronger we get. We don't shy away from the challenges, actually we move towards them. And it's not in that space of, I have to challenge myself 100%. I don't think it's Stephen Pressfield, although I was reading him this morning. Another teacher was saying this idea of it's just 4%. We just need to go outside of our comfort zone 4% or even 1%. Challenge ourselves. And, that's helping us to become anti-fragile. It's like, and if we can train ourselves with the little things, I messed up today. Okay, I didn't do whatever it was. I didn't have a good conversation with my partner. Right, begin again. I'm going to start this at the beginning. So we've got these 3 stages of fragile, resilient, and anti-fragile. What other things? So I think this idea of the comfort zone as well is that most of us, we want to stay in our comfort zone. It's like we don't really want challenges. But what Phil Stutz in his book, The Tools, talks about, sorry, my light is kind of going on and off here. He says in the Tools, he says that when we are challenged and we have, something like, we're in our comfort zone. He says our infinite potential is over here. So if we've got our comfort zone and it's where we're uncomfortable, it might be where we've got fear or where we've got worry, or he says, actually, we need to, what he talks about, the first tool is the reversal of desire. So it's like, right, you're challenged, I'm feeling challenged. He says, bring it on. That's a good thing. And that helps us to develop this anti-fragile self. Is like, rather than us going, oh God, this is too hard, prices are going up. It's like, oh, this is really difficult, going into what I spoke about 3 or 4 weeks ago, the victim, oh, I can't do this. We become the creator. What do I want? What do I want in this moment? And that's anti-fragile. The more the challenges are there, it's like, bring it on. This is making me stronger. And so what Phil Stutz, who's a psychiatrist, talks about is this idea that when a challenge comes up, it's like, yes, bring it on, bring it on. And, another key aspect of anti-fragility is this idea that when you're having a bad day, that's when you do your practice. That's when you show up and you do, you get up early, you do your meditation, you go for a run, you do the practices even more then. Then when you're feeling good, the same thing. That helps us to flip round. So for me, when I was very much fragile, I'd get wobbled out, and I could be wobbled out for 3, 4, 5 weeks at a time, and I'd just be in a really negative space. Now what I'm learning to do is, change myself. So in 5 minutes and a couple of hours, maybe a day, it's like I managed to shift myself around. Okay, things are challenging, and then change myself, going, no, this is good. Keep going, keep going with my practice, go for my runs, have my cold bath. It's like, keep doing those things that I know really support me. So I think that's basically it. So we live in a time of challenge at the moment. It really is. It's like, it's really difficult on so many levels. You've got the Ukraine, what's happening with COVID. It's like, you know, prices all going up. It's like, it's a tough time. And we can reframe it by going, great, this is going to help me to become anti-fragile, to be able just to bounce back. Okay, yeah, this could be a real, you know, a great thing. So for me in my work, I feel that, I had an idea last week for a new project. And it's like, oh, wow, this could be huge. And I'll explain more over the coming weeks. And I think this is it. It's like we have these new ideas come to us. And it's like, follow them. So the old falls away, the new begins. So I realize I've gone on for quite a long time today, but yeah, just these three aspects: fragile, resilient, and anti-fragile. So just notice, am I being fragile today? Am I being a victim? So it's okay. Right, let me step into more anti-fragile, like, right, yeah, bring it on. Feel fear? Great. Okay, what can come out of this? How can I move myself? And it might be through movement, it might be through laughter, it might be through meditation, it might be spending time with people, it might be doing a hobby, whatever it is that really helps you. So I've got a podcast coming up this Friday with Tony Gamage, who's a filmmaker, and fascinating conversation about art therapy. And he was at boarding school from age 8, gained this idea of trauma, and he works in prisons and secure units, helping people to tell their story, the importance of us telling our story. And by doing that, we bring a lot of healing. So that will be going live Friday. Any questions, please let me know. And thank you so much. Have a great Easter. Okay, blessings.